Welcome back to ESL TV for the LCS 2014 EU promotion. We're moving into our fourth game of the night. They're all just jumbling into one big awesomeness. A great comeback by the Copenhagen Wolves in that last one, just showing how good they are right now. I mean, This is a team that probably deserves to be in the LCS the way that we've seen them play recently.
I can't do anything else but agree or lie. There is pretty much no doubt, because that is the mark of a really great team. You saw, teams in the LCS will lose games to the worst, or the teams that ended up falling behind them overall in the rankings, but that didn't necessarily detract from them as a team, but it was the teams that lost the early game or the mid game or some aspect or failed something, but then were able to just bring it back on just sheer talent, on sheer skill. That is the real mark of an amazing team.
So we're going to get into our next game then, which is going to be Karont3 versus TCM. TCM, that's right.
TCM.
So let's have a look down the bans here for this one. Caitlyn taken away, first of all, by Karont3 and Shyvana, and a Kha'Zix ban there aimed at TCM. There is Elise taken out. He's coming in quickly.
Yeah, indeed. Kha'Zix ban is the one that's jumping out to me as being a little bit unusual here. I know that TCM do like to run that, though. I believe JWoww, in fact, runs that top lane quite often for a top laner, because obviously Kha'Zix is not a common top lane choice, but can work in the right situation. So, other than that, fairly standard Caitlyn ban. Understandable. She is intrinsic to a lot of strategies, and she's also a very, very safe AD carry. But generally, if you do ban Caitlyn, it means you have something in mind and you don't want Caitlyn available.
Well, Kassadin was Karont3's final ban, and a Renekton taken away there. So Renekton gone, as is Shyvana, as is Elise from TCM side of things. What has that left us open here? I mean, obviously Annie being a very popular choice right now. Ziggs as well. It's funny to say, I didn't think I'd be saying this 3 months ago. That Ziggs is a ridiculously strong choice right now.
Well, I mean, quite a lot of people say this about Riot, is their patching strategy is generally to nerf more than to buff. And if you gradually nerf every single other champion in the game as the meta changes over a long, long time, and Ziggs has been out for ages, and you leave that champion alone, and actually he got a couple of little quality of life buffs as well, so stuff like making the satchel charge easier to use, you just tip him over, and eventually he just becomes really, really good by virtue of being the only one left standing in a way. And he does have some unique aspects. His ability to globally influence map pressure with the just giving waves, that is what really makes him amazing. It's not just his poke.
Well, we see the first pick actually coming down there for Karont3, going for Vi, who again, very popular these days in the jungle. Probably one of the better junglers for locking people down these days.
Yeah, she is both a tank and also she is bursty. She's very similar to Jarvan the Fourth in that respect, but I think she probably nowadays is generally considered the slightly better alternative, whereas previously it was pretty much the other way around, where Vi was the slightly worse alternative to Jarvan. But Jarvan has had a couple of issues lately, has been nerfed a little bit, and I don't know how his jungle clear is nowadays, but I actually have to, if I had to guess, he would be a little bit slower than Vi, just on clearing that extra normal camp before doing that other buff, which is one of the changes that has happened in 3.14.
Well, we did see, funny enough, after talking about Ziggs' first pick here for TCM, and also Lucian as the AD carry.
The OPs, quote-unquote, on that front. They are definitely kings of their class at the moment. I mean, I haven't seen Gragas a bit, but apparently Gragas has a very low win rate, actually. I think he's really not been winning a lot of games, actually, thinking about it. But certainly Ziggs, very, very strong. Lucian, very, very strong. What you get in return for giving both of those picks away, Vi alone, probably not worth it. Is there another major pick available that K3 really want?
Well, that's the interesting one, isn't it? I mean, Shyvana and Renekton, two champions that right now are very highly contested, both banned out in this one. And actually, Karont3 going for two picks which don't, in my opinion, fall into that bracket of what you were talking about, maybe the stronger champions around that have been let through. Sona, Orianna.
Now, they're not the OPs, but Orianna, Sona, and Vi work together brilliantly. They are really, really good. Orianna sets up Vi for getting in the first place. You shield her, makes her tankier for going in. She then follows up with the ball. You pull everybody in. It really works together, and then you layer the crescendo on top of that. All three of those champions work together brilliantly, and that is actually now why you can see TCM picking up Zyra to go against that, just based on the fact that they need counter-engage now. They are already a little bit lacking in peel for Lucian, and I would be surprised to see them go for the Mundo, but they have indeed gone so. Maybe going to be just trying to be in the backline and disrupting that combination, but Karont3 at the moment are looking like they're building a very dangerous team-fighting team. The only thing that they might suffer for is map pressure.
Well, we did see that Mundo come in, as you said, and well, if you want something beefy, Mundo is probably the right place to go these days. We saw in our early game, I think 4,500 HP, 330-something armor, like pretty hard to get around a Mundo that is, in fact, that strong. And as we saw in the final team fight of that game, that was, of course, Super Hot Crew versus Karont3, it didn't go well for them. They focused the Mundo, they kicked him into the middle of the team, and he's like, what up, I'm Mundo, ultimate on, and they didn't actually kill him after throwing literally everything at him. On the other side for Karont3 here, Vayne going to be picked up, and a Malphite would fit into this whole setup that they've got, which is pile everything you've got into the middle and watch things explode, or not if you fall far behind.
Yeah, that is one of the problems with building a team composition like this. They do not have a lot of wave clear. They do not have a lot of counter push. They are all in on this strategy. And if it goes wrong, and especially even if it doesn't go wrong per se, if Jax gets too strong for them to 1v1, even with Malphite, that tears them apart, because they will not have an answer to that split push other than to try and pin him down with 2-3 members. And you've seen how well the teams that we've got in this tournament are able to just take advantage of massive manpower commitments in that situation. So that could really, really go wrong for them. That being said, Malphite versus Jax in general goes even for a very, very long time, so they won't have to worry about that unless ganks change that matchup. Which
we'll be expecting them to be, looking at you, junglers. So yeah, lineups in there for this one, and just to talk about how this match is going to influence the groups, really. Karont3, of course, lost all of their games so far. They have to win them all to have a chance, even, of coming through in the top 3 spots, which, of course, will go on then to play in the actual promotion, where NIP have first choice, SK second choice, and Meet Your Makers, the, I suppose you could say, unlucky people that have to get what's left over, which is probably going to be the Copenhagen Wolves, if we're honest about that one. And apparently they couldn't swap, so we're going to go through bans and picks again. I always love that.
It's just going to be a quick remake, so it shouldn't take them too long, assuming nothing else goes wrong. You never do know, but it doesn't really matter. Everyone's got all the champions. It's not like when you're on the live servers and you placeholder picks and then people can't rejoin because the lobby's bugged out and la-di-da-di-da-di-da, but it does seem like it should just be pretty quick. They are playing the same stuff, though, not spelling anything out.
Yeah, that's nice of them. I almost expected a TSM ban against TCM just for fun's sakes. But that's not going to be happening, and we are going to see them picking up their own champions, which makes me very happy. Not going to have to worry about the not being able to switch. So, JWoww on Jax. That was the final pick coming out for TCM. Now, JWoww, a incredibly good Jax player.
Yeah, we've seen him, I think, in pretty much every challenger tier, tournament, online game. I mean, solo queue even. He is really, really good on that champion, and he will just destroy people that you wouldn't normally expect him to be able to. And one of the other things is he's got a lot of experience running Jax in a 1v2 lane. He is actually quite skilled at doing that. And TCM in this game may choose to do that because Jax vs Malphite goes quite even. However, Vayne Sona is not going to push even a fraction as fast and not going to punish a laner as fraction as hard as Zyra Lucian can. So they may be able to take a quick pushing advantage from that. And another thing about Malphite as a 1v2 laner, yes, he's relatively good at clearing the wave compared to some champions, but he's not great. His biggest problem is he can't support big ganks from Vi. He can't burst someone down. If like we often see when you see Young Buck on Renekton, Vi comes in, goes in with the slice and dice, puts the burst down, and the AD carry ends up dead, which completely destroys any hope of pushing stuff down. But in this case, much harder to do.
Yeah, I think the early game obviously going to be very crucial in this one as to whether Karont3 can really get this lineup rolling. You know, a Vayne that falls behind, it's going to take her longer to get into that late game Vayne that you want her to be. And then at the same time, if TCM themselves get rolling, the likes of Jax, who's just going to be hitting ridiculously strong as things go on. This is a hard one to call for me. I mean, form would probably tell us that TCM are going to be the favourites coming into this one. Karont3 have had real trouble winning games. In fact, they've not actually won any games so far. I'm going to have to say that TCM, my pick for this one. Also, the fact that TCM are using TSM logos, which is always nice as well.
I hadn't picked up on that, but it's their prerogative, I suppose, or at least it's only two of them in fairness, so it's not quite a betrayal of the. They
can support their American almost namesakes. It's not quite exactly there. As Jason gives us a fist in the air for America, basically, is what that was. He's off in the corner just being American at this point, eating pretzels or something. So yeah, we are going to get into game 4 this one then. It is Karont3 who have pretty much, this is their last hope, and even if they win their remaining games, they're still not guaranteed to push through because of how other things have been going for them. We'll have to see how this one all works out, though.
Yeah, and that may actually play into their mindset. At this point, is go big or go home for Karont3, so they may choose to play this very, very aggressively. We've seen a lot of the teams, Copenhagen Wolves, TCM, playing very conservatively, and indeed, I think that may have actually played against STO in our previous game, because they played passively when they had an advantage, playing defensively, wanting to not make mistakes, but actually allowed Copenhagen Wolves the chance to get back in it, were unable to take the inhibitor, so that can actually affect your team, but obviously going too aggressive has its own perils. Karont3, though, potentially proving me right here, looking for a potential invade.
Oh, this could be very, very interesting and dangerous at the same time. We'll see how this one goes. We can see that warding totems across the board supports both having an extra ward on them as well here, and both starting with the coin. So pretty much mirrored on that front of things. And there we see Tremnet getting his ward down on top of that blue buff area. And because there's no scan to come out, no one can check if that ward is there, and obviously then be taking that away. So with that ward down, we see Karont3 just back away.
Yep, just going to be getting that little bit of extra vision. That's always nice to have, but it does actually look like we will be seeing straight matchups at the moment, although actually Karont3 are the ones who are swapping up here. Now, I have to say, I'm not sure I like that plan. Yes, if they put them in a straight up 2-on-2, that will be a difficult lane for them, because yes, Lucy and Zyra are going to punish them really, really hard, but they have to be so careful to not end up falling behind on towers, map pressure, and global objectives.
Now, blue buff starts here then for both junglers. Ikonatos gets his, and we did see the Mundo for Naruto picking up his blue buff as well, and he's just going to go on his path of taking down the wolves. Now, as you said, this leaves us with those 2v1 lanes. We're going to see Karont3 with that 2v1 in top and also the 2v1 at bottom. But look at this, Karont3 with that ward down. They've actually been spotted by a ward of TCM, are looking for the red buff. Invade Naruto saying, well, okay, that's fair enough. I'm just going to do the same to you.
That's actually a greater manpower commitment there from Karont3. However, that does mean now that they are going to be able to potentially go for Jax. They do have the positioning if they want it. It would be a very predictable move, but Jax is not in a good situation. He's low on levels, and they know that Naruto will have gone for their red if he's been spotted out. So I'm actually a little bit surprised to see them not go for that that classic 3-man dive.
Looks like they're just going to go for a fast push here, to be honest. On this bottom lane, we see that those minions all being knocked through, and we'll see how much damage TCM can actually put onto this outer turret in the bot lane. And they've got a big wave of minions, and we see that Naruto just going to zone Dragon out as far as he possibly can. A ward going down there into the brush. Let's have a look at the top here, because Vi is coming along as well. And we'll see if Jack stays actually going to get stunned, but there's a counter-strike onto Eco underneath the tower, but it's Jimbones that's actually tanking out. First blood comes down. Jimbones is going to die, though. Credit to JWoww for getting something out of that one, but they did give up first blood. And TCM here are going to take this outer turret on the bottom lane. Top lane turret surely going to go. Maybe not without the Vayne there.
Yeah, absolutely going in TCM's favor there. JWoww able to pick up that clutch kill at the end because Jimbones, he walked back in, and I don't think he needed to. I think Karont3 and Terminac had the damage to finish that kill off, and that greed has cost them massively. It cost them that losing the tower race. They've got less farm on their AD carry. They're losing essentially on pushing, and that was such a good dive for them.
And look at this, Eco actually is not going to get stunned up, and JWoww just trying his best there to stop that tower going down. Won't work out for them though, and we're going to be sat at 1 tower apiece in just a second. There we go. That made me look silly there for a second. But TCM, you know, they've been pushed back now from this bottom lane with the fact that Jimbones did come around the side. He's just picked himself up a second Doran's Blade with that assist on the first blood earlier.
Joe, I can assure you, you've never looked anything other than civilized, especially when shirtless. So, Jax in that top lane now, though, is probably going to be able to just farm himself up. They could go... Okay, right. Dangerous.
5-minute Dragon. Dangerous. Naruto, the one tanking it up at this point. He's at half health. We'll have to see if they can finish this one off. That's a nice satchel actually going to knock them back. Grasping Roots landing in there. And there is the Dragon pickup, but Jimbones coming around the side. Naruto going to have to flash away from that one. Jimbones doesn't have the flash to follow through, but Barney D may be in trouble. Ignite goes onto him. He flashes away. Great Grasping Roots will stop them on that front. But Belgian Beast is taking the lazy path almost back towards that mid lane. He's now going to be forced to flash away, but double flash coming over from Karont3. Belgian Beast only needs one more auto attack onto him to go down, or the Wheel of Doom from Dragon will do the job as well.
There is no dodging the wheel, and Belgian Beast just wanted the mana for that satchel charge, but wasn't able to get it. Now, this is Karont3 actually taking advantage of the fact that JWoww is freezing. This is costing Malphite by comparison, but Malphite by comparison isn't a massively farm-dependent champion, and the team is now going to be able to push this mid tower significantly. Are they going to be able to take it completely, though? I'm not actually sure.
I don't think they are going to. Now, TCM actually getting onto that one. Jimbones did take a bit of a hit there from the tower, but they're going to stick around here with 4 men in this mid lane. Actually, I'm just telling you a lie because Econ has already gone back. He's going to be recalling himself. And I just said, JWoww freezing this lane out. He's 21 to 5 CS now over Malphite. So that's a great little start to this game for him.
Yes, indeed it is. I've got to say, actually, though, right now, the gold is going in the favor of TCM. That isn't too surprising given how this game has been going. That fast push early on and the slightly screwed up dive in the top lane earlier on for Karont3 is kind of costing them on that front. But Karont3 have been able to not lose massively in that early game, and Vayne is picking up a decent bit of farm here. Is 0-1 and 2, unfortunately for her, not picking up the kills. But she is getting farm, and that means she's going to be a very significant teamfight presence come the mid game.
Doing a decent job on that front, but Matroco got the lead at this point and is ahead on that one. Picking himself up actually the Ruby Crystal in there with the long sword as well after that Doran's Blade start.
Yeah, going for a Trinity Force build there on Lucian. That's very understandable. It's a common thing to see done. He's a fairly bursty AD carry, suits Trinity Force quite well. Although I will say, my personal preference for Lucian is actually that Bloodthirster first build. I just feel like having that sustain really suits Lucian's playstyle down. And it can, lifesteal is very important in all this.
Oh, Jimbones there getting hit by the Grasping Roots. That's going to cause him to take roughly half damage to himself. And the mid lane, Orianna did get blue buff, as has Ziggs. Belgian Beast got that one under wraps. And look at this, they're actually going for that red buff. So Naruto saying, you took my red at the start of the game. Now it's time for a bit of payback since you forced me to go onto that bottom side of the map. And we're going to take yours away. The question is now whether Vi will react to this by going to the top side and taking the TCM red buff. I'm not sure that it's really got the time for it now.
She doesn't dare because JWoww is in the area. He's pushed Malphite back. So if that were to be the play from Karont3, all TCM would have to do is just move JWoww in, and then Malphite would be forced into a situation of choosing between losing farm to tower or being in the place to fight for that, only for an equal fight over that red buff. So awkward situation, and nice call by TCM, forcing a lose-lose situation on Karont3.
So, wards, minions pushed out here on the bottom lane.
There
was a ward put down as well, so I wasn't totally wrong with that one. Barney D just putting one into the tri-bush, and Belgian Beast is going to die in that mid lane. Good call on that one, because I was in my own little world for it. Naruto actually popping his ultimate here to get into this one, and to be honest, they both decently low at this point. You can see they're like, nope, let's get the speed boost and just get out of here.
Yeah, and I actually want to note, just now, there was something very close to a dangerous situation from Metrocco. He was condemned, and I swear if it had been a poppy charge, he would have collided with the wall, because the collision detection on that thing is messed up. He was so close to a potential all-in there, but as it happened, didn't happen. And that just means that now he's hit level 6, and so it looks like Karont3 are going to kind of have to just bite their tongues and stay pushed back for a while.
Naruto, you've done a lot of damage to this middle turret. Finally, Dragon shows himself, and Naruto will be happy just to take that one away and get off that area. Actually, the AD carrying support come up here through the bottom side of the jungle, and they've actually got pretty much full vision control of this one. Neptuno's going to come around the side, probably should be checking that with the ball, and now as he comes in there, he realizes Naruto smites away the big Wraith and says thank you very much again.
Yeah, and I want to know again now, JWoww freezing the top lane once again. He is farming himself up. I think TCM really understands how important having that split push potential is to their composition, and how bad it will be for Karont3 if he gets to be stronger than Malphite in a 1v1. That's why they're sacrificing the map pressure to get this, but it may cost them if this team fight happens.
Oh, going in for Barney D. He actually flashed that one, but didn't get out of range. Now the rest of the team coming around for this one. Dragon still alive there at the back. The shockwave actually coming out there was all a little bit dodgy. In fact, no, yes, it was used in that one. Jimbone's now joining in as well. Metrocco is going to be chased down, but is he going to be caught out? Yes, now as we see the crescendo come around, and there is the shockwave coming in off the cooldown. Belgian Beast going to be chased out here by Jimbones, but he decides not to push on. And my little false information there about the shockwave, because it was so close to cooldown, I thought it just used it, but it was actually the other way around. Managing to pick them up a kill. Not bad.
Yeah, very nicely done, and that is how you take advantage of a Jax who never leaves top lane. Obviously, it's easier to do in a competitive setting than solo queue, but there you go, tips for people playing Malphite versus Jax. Make engages happen. Jax just wants to be left to push top and then be pushed back and then push back top again himself, because it will mean he will get farmed up. However, the fact that Karont3 have not recalled, and the fact they have taken a lot of damage and are going past wards right now, means that now TCM have respawned and they can go for this dragon. I feel Karont3 perhaps should have opted to recall a little faster.
Yeah, this is going to be really interesting. We see how low it's gone. Vi getting ready to come over the wall, and they stop attacking the dragon, and there is the pickup. Naruto able to get that one down. Really nicely played by TCM. That keeps them in the gold lead at roughly 2,000.
Very nice prediction by TCM. They knew Karont3 was there. They knew he would try and jump over the wall, and they knew that Vault Breaker, if you do not use it, has a limited charge time and will just cancel itself out. I actually don't know if you can jump over the wall if you are Vi with the very smallest jump that you can do, because you can do it like a little double tap on the Q button and you will just hop a very short distance. It's very useful in certain situations, but I do not know if you can actually go over the Dragon Ball. If he had used that, that would have meant TCM would have had no choice but to just take it a smite contest.
Now, let's have a look down some of the items here now as they start to really pan out. And those top laners, Malphite, workings of the Sunfire Cape already underway, and Jax, who's 20 CS in the lead, has 2 out of 3 elements of that Trinity Force as well. And that's obviously when JWoww is going to be feeling a lot more comfortable of bashing away at his enemies.
Yeah, TCM are about to hit a very major power spike because they have 2 people with 2 components of a Trinity Force, and the stat gold efficiency numbers when you complete Trinity Force versus the 3 separate components is just a massive spike of power, and across 2 people that is very important. Already, in fact, I feel like TCM are getting such a farm advantage on the important people. Karont3, once again, the onus is on them to make things happen or just be split pushed into oblivion by JWoww.
JWoww actually, or at least one of the TCM members pinging onto this top turret. Malphite actually coming back in there to make sure that that one doesn't go down just yet. That'd be another bad loss, and that'd mean the outer ring, of course, is all gone. Only one still standing in that top lane after they lost mid, and specifically that bottom lane turret went down very, very early, since Naruto did come there straight away after that red buff pickup. But up until now, you know, it's a decent little lead for TCM. And as you said, once his Trinity Force, for example, is finished out there for Lucian and Jax, then things could get a little bit more dangerous for Karont3.
Yeah, indeed. But nice usage of the... Wow. Perhaps a slight overcommitment of the wave clear there by TCM.
He got 1 minion for it, though. So it's
nailed
worth
it. Done. Right. Okay. So perhaps, I mean, it didn't really matter, but it would have actually probably been better to reserve one of those ultimates in case a fight now breaks out. But it's very unlikely a fight will actually break out because obviously both teams are just going to continue on as per usual. JWoww in the top lane, though, now is actually looking to farm behind the tower of Malphite, which would very slowly actually erode the tower by minion waves.
Yeah, he's gonna. There's a bit of the jungle left here. I won't mind having that. Always a bit of a bonus for him coming in. Meanwhile, Jimbone's been left to farm up somewhat in this bottom lane. That's going to bring him pretty much bang even at this stage of the game with Matroko, who did go home and pick up that Trinity Force.
Yeah, it's going to mean basically right now not too big of a difference right now. Actually, keep thinking stuff's going to happen in bot lane, then it doesn't. But as it happens right now, as soon as JWoww goes back, I think he's going to be stronger than Malphite in that top lane. That is an alarming thought for Karont3. And actually the fact that Dragon is now spending a lot of time in the top lane means I think they're aware of that and they want to make sure he gets his farm, he gets his experience and keeps himself in contention. But I think it's not going to matter once JWoww has the Trinity Force, because the way the mechanics of that lane work, having that little extra burst of damage from the Trinity Force proc actually is very important for punishing when Malphite shield is down. At the moment, TCM, though, are just content to farm it out. And this is actually what we saw yesterday, I believe, when they were playing against another team who some would consider beneath them, but actually they're going to be fighting.
Yeah, there is a crescendo, actually whiffed completely. Naruto pulled in by the shockwave. Jimbone's in the bottom right is having a go at Barney D as well, and there is the single kill. Bomb comes down from Ziggs, but there's a flash from Jimbones. He gets the kill, but again, he's underneath the tower here. Belgian Beast will come back with that one, and now the culling from Matroko comes in the side. There's no tower there for them. Will they follow on? Matroko will dash in there. One more hit will do it. He gets the finisher there, but now Malphite coming down from the top lane. That is a kill onto Lucian, but they picked up another one in the mix of that one, and now the stun, no, flash away from Dragon will get him out to safety. So in the end, a 3 for 2.
Yeah, and TCM once again are the ones coming out on top in this situation, potentially going for the dive. That burst, man.
Oh. Trickling off to the side of that one. Belgian Beast just jumping away with that satchel charge, and that was very, very close to him going down. And we saw how hard JWoww hits here, and that's without that Trinity Force finish. He's actually got 2,200 gold now, so that's going to be done here for him as he comes back out of the base.
Yes, indeed. Trinity Forces all around. Freak would be very, very proud of the situation. And indeed, it is the winning team, or at least the currently ahead team, that is building more Trinity Forces. So there you go, a rule for how to win at League of Legends.
More Trinity Forces, always good. That's
Trinity
it.
Force hat.
And Eco now sat up 4-1-2 actually on Vi. Certainly not having a bad time of things. Gone for the Aegis. What do you think to that here? We've been hearing a few rumors around that on the jungler, maybe not as strong as we saw in previous patches these days.
Yeah, I think it's partly because your jungler wants to be as selfish as possible with his items and make sure that, especially if it's an initiating jungler, they're not just going to get bursted out. And if they're a damage dealer, that they get the multiplying effect of damage scaling. They are going to be potentially fighting over this dragon here. Will they be able to steal it? No, they won't. Eco going in there actually manages to avoid the grasping roots as the shockwave only hits Naruto. Eco off to the side here, gets the shield as well, but JWoww diving in from it. But here comes Malphite from the top side. This could change how this fight goes, but is he going to be able to get in there? In the end, he's pretty much just sandwiched out of that one, being all alone on that top side. Then was the ultimate out of Naruto as well. And in the end, no kills after Dragon was taken. Karont3 kind of put themselves in there for that one, trying to steal it out, and they'll be thankful that they didn't lose any men for doing so. key factor on why TCM went for that Dragon in the first place, and why they didn't contest it in Karont3, and indeed in that team fight after, why they didn't go ham, was because Dragon didn't have his ult. He now does. Belgian Beast potentially in trouble.
Oh, that's a lot of damage coming out onto Sona. JWoww going to flash in there, picks up the kill. He's now on a killing spree, and honestly, Karont3 are pretty low from this one. They might want to keep chasing through. The slow comes in. Grasping Root not quite got the range to land onto Dragon. He surely would have been finished off from that one, and they'll be happy here. They've got Orianna out of the picture, and that is going to mean that Naruto is tasked with the tanking up of this inner middle turret. They're going to take that one down.
Yeah, he is not yet a raid boss, but it doesn't matter. They have got what they wanted. They've got the tower, and I believe they have also got 5 men getting the gold from it as well. So that's very, very good for TCM once again. A small lead. Oh,
that's bad news for Eco, actually. He's going to
alive.
get himself away with a Vault Breaker, which will make him happy, but that's never a good thing to have a Lucian just come dashing through the wall at you. Bit of a nasty surprise overall. No. And a blue buff steal for JWoww.
Indeed, that is nice on Jax. I mean, cooldown reduction, always a valuable stat, and people, I feel, underrated slightly on Jax. But he is a very, very strong champion with pretty much anything. It's the Teemo principle. Build anything, he's good. Jim's in bot.
Yeah, Jimbone's going in there, actually uses the active. The culling comes out from Matroco, and he's just going to walk, basically, away from that one. And the funny thing is that Jimbone's almost took as much damage.
And that is literally why the culling is actually better than people think. Because people compare the direct DPS to auto-attacking, and they're like, well, if I can auto-attack for free, why is the culling doing like such a piddly amount of damage by comparison? But people don't consider, or didn't consider when Lucian was released, it's like 1,000 range, and you can do it while moving, which for an AD carry is just unbelievably strong. People don't appreciate casting animations enough in this game, and auto-attacks are the king of that.
So, Karont3 here pushing back on that bottom lane. As we saw earlier, Blade of the Rune King is finished for Jimbones, who's found himself caught out under towers, I think is the right way to put that one. Twice already for those 2 deaths. Obviously, first of all, up in the top lane as they got that first blood, and then second of all in the mid. Meanwhile, JWoww, best sound ever, if he's on your team, of course, is going to take down that outer turret in the top lane. And as I mentioned earlier, that's now the final one down. And the outer ring completely dealt with by TCM.
Yeah, otherwise it's just a slightly irritating sound. You think, why won't Riot fix this sound? But it's actually, it used to be you could Zhonya's, and you could constantly reset W, and you could do it even faster than 2.5 attack speed. Very, very noisy, actually, if you did that. Possibly not worth it at that point. But at the moment, it's once again kind of resuming into farming frenzy mode. But I have to say, the longer that goes on, the more the split push from JWoww is just going to get out of hand. And Karont3 don't have many answers to that unless JWoww puts his feet wrong on many occasions in succession and gets caught out. But I just don't see that happening. It's JWoww.
Naruto as well has got this Warmog. I was just watching him there running in, and pretty much being the big tanky threat that he is with that Warmogs on now. He's just so ridiculously strong already. If you look at his health, what is he at? 2,800 health already at this point in the game.
Yeah, so Naruto currently has 41 HP regen per 5 seconds. It's quite a lot.
Yes.
On the scale of health regen, that is getting up there with Baron buff on normal people. Mundo being that way, though, is just kind of what he does. He is the regen king, and at the moment, the regen mastery is kind of strong. So, really, really strong on him. But will Karont3 be able to get an engage here? They could potentially, because Lucian is a long way off.
Yeah, Eco actually going in for this one, and the Assault and Battery comes down onto Barney D. They've used the Shockwave as well on the support here. We'll see if that comes back to bite them as JWoww joins in. There was the crescendo. JWoww on his own here against 3 men. Needs to be careful. Unstoppable Force was used. Dragon going very, very low. JWoww is still alive from this one. Finally gets himself shut down as Belgian Beast decides he's going to chase down Eco. Is he going to be able to get the finisher? Yes, he is. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Jimbones, sorry, it was Neptuno in the end, actually, that did kill off another one. The bomb not going to come in, and Jimbones now may have got himself another one. Belgian Beast actually flashed directly there as the attacks were coming in onto him. Well, Karont3 going low, but crucially picking up 3 kills.
Yeah, Belgian Beast there showing his ballsy playstyle by going in at the end looking for the kills rather than thinking, I'll just use my wave, clear the I'll use my wave to clear my ult. Use his ult to clear the wave. As it happens, though, didn't get the kill, so lost the tower. I can understand going for it, though, and it's really not Barney D's day, by the way. I think I've seen him flash now twice to get out of major CC ultimates, only to then just be hit by them anyway, which is good prediction, I guess, like Karont3. So, you know.
He's a split second too late both times. He saw the unstoppable force earlier, which was just about caught him as he flew off from the flash. But yeah, definitely not having his luckiest of days on that front. If you look down his items, though, now, so that is actually pretty interesting. Haunting Guys in there, Boots of Mobility, Sightstone, Chalice, and also going into the Nomad's Medallion. This is what I really like to see in the new patch, that we are getting some more diversity from those items.
Yeah, although we are seeing a lot of Haunting Guys, but this is a gank on the bottom lane that could well get turned around. They are committing hard.
Jimbone's getting exploded from this one. There is the culling coming in, but he's managed to walk away from it. They go now over towards Matroko. Eco may have gone a little bit deep. He's trying to get away without being slowed down. Vault Breaker will get him off to the back. There's the ball. Shockwave lands onto Barney D. He'll be happy to take that one for the team, and Matroko does finally take out Eco, and now Naruto is going in. There's a flash away from the briefcase. He knew that a slow probably would have ended his life, and TCM, funnily enough, coming down for this one, picking up that kill onto Eco. That's going to set them up nicely for the Dragon.
Another Dragon going TCM's way. A big fight there, and actually that was the power of the rushed Crucible that we've been seeing a lot of from these pro supports, especially on Sona, who absolutely adores the mana regen she could never have in Season 3. Getting that ability now to just save an AD carry, it saved Vayne there, is really powerful, especially against teams which are reliant on bursting you. But in the end, it goes TCM's way in spite of that, and that was just the power of having more people in the area at the start of the fight and getting the burst on the crucial targets early.
Well, Karont3 not in a bad position here. I mean, 12 to 8 up in kills, but if you look at the objectives, they're all going TCM's way, and that's something that Karont3 really need to fix, and as such, are pushing this bottom lane out. They've been trying for quite a while now to actually finish off that outer turret in the bottom lane. Looks like this time they will finally do that. Yeah, there's a bomb, which may say no.
They can tank it. Just go. Yeah, there we go. So, they're going to be picking up that gold. That's nice for them. There's a blue ping on Baron, actually, but it doesn't look like TCM are going for that. They're going for Econators.
Yeah, and he might be in trouble here if that lands onto him. We do see that land. There's a stun as well coming in from JWoww. Hammering away. Vault Breaker comes down, but you're not going to be able to get away from that. JWoww actually flashed, which I thought was a little bit overkill, but either way, gets the job done for them. And TCM, they weren't just pinging that Baron for nothing. They're going for it.
Yeah, understandable at this point because a lot of members from Karont3 recalled, and TCM know that. Plus, because they have Mundo, that percent-based damage, they have JWoww, they have Jax, they have that huge sustained damage if someone doesn't run away. They just shred through Baron with that team composition. I mean, I think I need to adjust my scales because I keep saying people clear Baron very fast, but it seems like almost every team comp that gets picked nowadays clears Baron really fast, and it's a priority actually in camp select.
Yeah, there's a big amount of gold as you'd expect after that coming in as well. I mean, JWoww, he's got that Blade of the Ring King, he's got the Trinity Force in there. Like, that's already his big 2 items that's making him very scary. We also seen the Rabadon's Death Cap added in, plus another Blasting Wand on top of that Athene's Unholy Grail for Ziggs as well. Meanwhile, the Last Whisper almost finished for Matroko's Lucian.
Yeah, and I think JWoww is hanging around now waiting for another item. I'm actually a little curious what he's going to go for. Typically, I would expect him to start building a GA, and indeed are the 2 components of GA, in order to give him, in addition to his split pushing, because he can now do that very effectively. He can out-sustain Malphite's damage and constantly apply pressure that way. He now needs to be able to exert a little bit more pressure in a teamfight situation when he arrives there, because he's quite squishy for a bruiser. With that GA, jump in, die, and then get back up again and be ready to teamfight again whenever his GA comes back up. He can spend the rest of the time split pushing.
So bottom lane was just forced out there by Karont3. Jimbone's actually keeping up in CS pretty decently throughout the times that he's probably been a little bit more bullied than he wanted to be. Obviously, we did see him dying a couple of times as well. We'll see how this late game Vayne really works out for Karont3. I mean, it only needs one good ultimate, of which they've got 3 of, to get things started.
Yeah, it's the cat and mouse game, very reminiscent of what we saw with Copenhagen Wolves last game, where neither side, this time it's very much a game where TCM do not want to be engaged upon pretty much, period. They are just going to be relying on split pushing to make sure that Jims never gets the chance to tear through them with that team fight, because Karont3 definitely sacrificed a lot of map presence in their team comp.
Speaking of getting caught out, wow, that flash there actually getting him away from the assault and battery. I'm not sure that's supposed to happen.
That must have been some incredible timing, because you would have to, I suppose, if you flashed at the exact instant that the knock-up effect on assault and battery procced, you would move, but the proc would have happened, so the chase wouldn't continue, which is interesting mechanics and very good usage.
Wow. Yeah, Culling coming out there.
Oh, tank
plus the bomb as well. Yeah, Naruto can tank it up, that's for sure. At this point, as they go straight on through, grasping roots lands onto Dragon, but he's not the target that they came for here. They want this inhibitor, and they're going to take the inhibitor here and just back straight out.
Yep, easy as you like with the Baron buff, with the Baron regen. Look at Naruterodor's health. It's just 22, 22, 22, 22, 22. It's going up very, very quickly, and that is a massive amount of regen. That means he can now afford to tank the tower again, or just be around and ignore a lot of poke.
Yeah, basically ignore everything that comes his way. I think they'd need to throw every ultimate at him at this point to actually do that much damage to him. You can see they just regenerating everything up as he goes. Not even a problem for him.
Yeah, he really does not care about damage at this point. That is incredibly difficult to deal with. Maybe Vayne in a very protracted fight could chase him down, but obviously not a possibility right now, because TCM have really good disengage, really good kite, and Vayne is just not going to be able to get in on these fights unless Karont3 can get to burst down a major squishy in one go.
That was a good shockwave in theory, but actually just does no damage to it at this point. We saw the crescendo coming out straight after, and that was completely whiffed, and TCM, they're just going to go straight back in for this one.
Yeah, they know that the Wombo combo isn't available anymore, but they're going to go in anyway.
Oh, Assault on Battery actually taking him right to the back. They focus on Matroko, but he's not really taking any damage from that either. Dragon here is going to be taken down. He's the tankiest of all the members in that team as they call in, and the bomb come together. One more hit. Where's the briefcase? Nope, there's a shield from Orianna, and that turret is going to fall either way. Look at Naruto, is it half health still?
He just doesn't take damage, and if he does take damage, it goes away very quickly.
I've completely missed that Vi was still alive from this one. JWoww, can he get to the ward? Yes, he will be able to jump away. Is Eco going to get this one right? Actually, he decides, you know what, I'm going to have to back away from things, and Vayne came around the side. So I didn't only miss the start, I missed the ending to all that as well. Best cameraman EU.
There's a beautiful symmetry to that. You are the George Lucas of camera work in this game.
Exactly. If we were making a feature film, you would have seen absolutely nothing for 3 hours and still paid for it anyway in the cinema. Just saying.
Based on what you've seen in the past, anyway. So, enough of my film preferences here, but Karont3, they are really now up against the wall. They are a long way behind on gold. The team fights aren't working out like we saw before. They weren't able to coordinate off a brilliant shockwave, by the way. That was amazing. If they had layered all their ultimates on top of it, they could have won that fight in spite of the gold difference, in spite of the Baron buff. As it is, though, they just don't seem to be able to get this to work for them, and Vayne isn't able to put down this tremendous amount of damage that she undoubtedly has, and because they're now so far behind on gold, they can't even play like a protect the AD carry if TCM engage, because Lucian is what? An item and a half ahead.
Yeah, they're in a very dangerous situation here. We just saw that the shockwave was brilliant, but they need the crescendo to be directly followed in there. They need the unstoppable force to go straight on top of the shockwave as well. And they just haven't been able to layer those on. And we saw even in the early game that they were throwing everything at Barney D. And even the damage at this stage has not really been that effective. I mean, we saw unstoppable force going on towards Matroko along with the assault and battery. He didn't lose that much health from that.
Yeah, indeed. And in fact, Zyra, if you burst down Zyra, but she is able to get strangle forms off, she's pretty much okay with that.
Job.
Yeah, I mean, she's just tanked a whole bunch of damage, which isn't going to be going on the major damage threat. And obviously now that delayed knockup will resolve. Most likely, if she's able to get Stranglethorns, she can get a Grasping Roots, maybe some plants down, and she can even continue to do damage, proccing that Liandry's after her death. It's just... Yes, if you can do it, if you can burst her out and then move away and get ready for another rotation of your skills, that can work. But don't do that and then get caught in a major fight. TCM are going to get that. There's no two ways about it.
And Naruto just distracted them the whole time, took a load of damage, and now he's got full health again. And there is the second Baron of the game going over to TCM. So they're sat at 12,000 gold lead, 8-3 in turrets. They're still behind on the kills, but it's going to take a brilliant play out of Karont3 right now to get everything together in the right place at the right time. That is literally their only hope at this point.
Yeah, we've seen the workings of a brilliant play before, that Orianna Shockwave. If they could get a Shockwave like that and layer everything, it could work, but I just don't know.
There was the Assault and Battery. Naruto, though, at the back of them, is just doing so much damage, being so annoying. Shockwave came down onto JWoww alone there, and that is just not what they're going for. Bomb will land there onto Tremnek. That's going to force him to back away. Inhibitor goes down. They can tank up this inhib turret, no problem with Naruto, and this should leave them without a single inhib left.
Yeah, double super minion waves is not something they can really contend with, especially when they're already so far behind. TCM, Naruterador, he's going to get his ult up fairly soon, and there's no choice but Karont3 to go in.
Yeah, there is the crescendo going in just onto one of them. Naruterador still manages to survive that one. There we see the Mikhail's use onto Eco, and he's going to be able to back away from that, but no shockwave, no crescendo. They're actually just going to have to boost themselves back off and start to heal up because these super minions are coming in. TCM want to finish the game right here, and they're probably going to be able to do it as well. Matroko hammering away. JWoww trying to keep the rest of the team out of the fight as Jimbone's going to go low. Actually, a flash in there for Belgian Beast might just cost him his life, or he'll get the kill and survive. Either way, this is going to be game. Surely, right now, JWoww finally does dive in there, goes on towards Jimbones, gets that kill. He still has his Guardian Angel available. Meanwhile, at the top side, Dragon finally goes down. TCM playing with their food a little bit for this one, but they are finally going to take down the Nexus and beat Karont3 here. Good game, very well played out of TCM. I mean, Karont3, they had that team combo that you have to hit literally everything perfectly, otherwise you don't win team fights.
And TCM played around it very well. They never let Karont3 get an easy wombo combo off. And that's, I mean, that kind of wombo combo is what you tend to see being hugely overvalued in lower tiers of play because people don't know how to play around it. They don't know how map pressure actually works. And to avoid having that combo used, they just had the 4-men retreat, have Jax push out the top. The moment that wombo combo gets split up, the moment Malphite goes to stop him, you just start pushing in with the 4-man again. And it just, you can never get in that position. And the one, maybe 2 times Karont3 did get in the right position at the right time, they just couldn't execute it well enough.
Well, that was it for this one. A thrilling win from TCM, and that obviously keeps them undefeated at this point. That's a lie.
No, they lost earlier.
They lost to Copenhagen Wolves,
quite badly,
of course.
actually.
Yeah. But almost undefeated, apart from Copenhagen Wolves. That is correct, that statement. I'm just going to check what the admin actually says at this point. Okay, so basically what the situation is that KMT are currently in Poland, playing the ESL Pro Series finals, and apparently literally playing the final right now. So we might have a little bit of time to wait until KMT play. We did try and get TCM to play against Super Hot Crew a little bit earlier, but TCM, as I think rightly so as well, didn't want to play back-to-back games, although that was a very quick one. 35 minutes, it wasn't as quick as I actually expected it to be, looking at the timer. But it was a pretty quick game either way, in my opinion.
It was one-sided.
It was one-sided. That's definitely true. So we're going to have a little bit of time, guys. We might find something a little bit fun to just fill that gap for you, but we'll definitely keep you updated. Make sure that you are following us on Twitter. That's the best way to go about it. At Joe_Miller. I can't even say my own name. That's just wrong, isn't it?
Hello, Joe_.
Let's try it. Joe_Miller. There we go. And at Spuddington. Yes, got it right. I was hoping that it was just that simple. You can also follow Jason, whose isn't quite as simple, at JCapLol. So make sure you do that one. We'll be giving you updates in between the games. But we will be back with our next game, KMT versus STO. Not sure exactly when, but as I said, we'll keep you updated as soon as we've got any information. See you soon.